and welcome to Tollgate Farm, part of Michigan State University. We're here in Novi, Michigan, and we wish to welcome you to our chicken parade. Let's watch our chickens come out of their coop, take a close look, and observe their behavior. Today, our livestock instructor Rachel Moran will share about buff Orpingtons and Easter eggers. Orpingtons are a heritage breed, one that existed before modern industrial meat and egg production. Orpingtons are cold-hardy. They lay well through the dark, short days of winter. Their thick feathering helps keep them warm and toasty. Easter eggers aren't a breed per se, but a variety of chicken that doesn't conform to any breed standard, but lays large to extra large eggs that vary in shade from blue to green to aqua, sometimes even pinkish. Easter eggers are exceptionally friendly and hardy.
So on this buff Orpington, this breed has a single comb, so it looks a lot like a picture maybe you've seen in a book. And there are lots of different types of combs. So right here we've got another chicken. She's got what's called a pea comb. So it's still red, it's fleshy, but it's not nearly as big and tall. It's kind of small and wrinkly. These down below are called wattles that are underneath here. And then this is actually her ear, where these little feathers are covering. It's covering her ear canal to keep dirt and debris out of there. Let's see if she'll let us take a closer look. So if you look right in there, that's her ear. And of course she's got her beak. Do chickens have teeth? No, they don't have teeth. They have a tongue. They don't have teeth. So how do they chew their food? If they're eating food that's made up of corn and soy, or they have grass and bugs, how do they get it smushed so they can digest it? Well, they have a special part of their stomach anatomy called a gizzard. So they might eat little pieces of stones, rocks, they'll hold them in their gizzard. So when they eat harder foods like corn and soy, it gets smushed up by those rocks in their gizzards. And she's volunteering her wings here to show us her wings. So most domestic birds weigh enough that they don't really fly well for any distance, so they can't sustain their flight. But she can fly short distances and up to only certain heights to roost, right? But she can't fly like maybe you'd see a hawk or something soaring. Chickens can't really soar like that. She's a little bit too heavy and doesn't have big enough wingspan to lift her body weight. So we can look at her feet too. So most of the chickens here are clean-legged is what we call it, where they're just scaly. There's no feathers on her feet. They're just scaly. She's got these nice long toenails. Why might they have such long toenails? Anyone ever seen a chicken scratch? So scratching is what they do to look for insects and seeds and other snacks in the dirt. And they'll use these kind of like a rake to scratch up the soil. Sometimes, if your chickens are kept on really soft ground, you might actually have to give them a little nail trim because they'll grow pretty quickly. So you can see she's got feet that are perfect for grasping. Chickens like to roost when they sleep, so they're up off the ground and they feel safe. So she's got 3 toes on the front and 1 on the back, so she can grasp things to roost, and she can actually sleep like that without falling off. If we talk about her egg-laying anatomy, she's got what's called a vent. So vent is kind of the layman term for it, so like the common name for it. And a scientist or a veterinarian might call it a cloaca. So for birds, they only have one orifice that does all the work. So that means she's laying her eggs out of her vent, and she's also passing any fecal matter or like urea, which would be like the equivalent of her urine, all out of the same orifice. So it's kind of different than some mammals where they have you know, different parts for fecal matter and different parts to pee, right? So she's just got this vent that does all the work. So this breed is called an Easter egger. It's actually a mix of a couple different kinds of breeds. But the traits that they have in common among Easter eggers is that they have these really cute fluffy cheeks, and they typically have a pea comb where it's much smaller than the single comb. So they do well in the Michigan cold, mostly because, you know, their comb, without having all the little frilly bits that stick up, they're not as at risk for frostbite or getting cold on their comb because it's really small. She lays blue eggs. You can kind of see that her legs are also clean, so they don't have any feathers on them, but they almost have like a greenish tinge to them. So we describe this color as willow, kind of like the branch of a willow tree, kind of has this pretty green tinge to it. So a lot of birds that lay blue eggs will have this kind of willow colored skin on their legs. Another way we can kind of get an indicator of what color their eggs might be is by looking at the chicken's earlobe. So hers is a little more bluish tinged than a brown egg layer's would be. She's also got a lot different colors than our buff Orpington, right? She's got wide variety of colors on her feathers. She's got a much smaller tail.